way. New stuff, what we're seeing here now, and I got a lot of stuff I'm going to try to walk you through here. Notice all of these multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. So the main takeaway from this whole line coming in is what you would think from a squall line. Straight line, gusty winds, takes a few minutes to come through, and then it comes through, and then things start to settle down. But it's in this part right here, and a little bit here, especially here in Griffin, where we're seeing what is being described as an intense tornado on the ground. In Spalding County right there. So what I want to do is I'm going to strip away these layers here. So if I take away the lightning, take away the warnings, this just gives you an idea of how the line looks, and you can see a lot better when you take that off. You can see the spin yourself. Look what's heading in toward Griffin. This is, there's tornado debris signature. We're seeing debris lofted in the atmosphere in Spalding County. So if you know someone in Griffin, let them know, do not go anywhere. They need to be definitely down in whatever they're doing. Same thing for Jackson, Butts County here in a little bit as this comes on across. For us, we do not have any tornado warnings right now, but we do have severe thunderstorm warnings with tornado possible mentioned in the wording. But I wanted you to get a look at the line. Notice primarily what's coming our way is straight line winds, maybe a spin up. We have to watch for that down in there. But the biggest, worst part of this whole thing is this part right here in Griffin, which is going to kind of move toward Jasper, Putnam counties like this. So it's already, I mean, this is a fast mover. This thing, last time I looked, was moving at 60 miles an hour. So this whole process that we talked about from 4 to 9 or whatever it is to get this through, I think it's going to go quicker than that, at least this top part. Now, this lingering stuff back here may take a little while to come on across, but that's the worst part, what you're seeing right there. Okay, that tornado warning moving northeast at 65 miles per hour. This thing is absolutely flying through there. It's already through Griffin. And again, there's been a debris signature there where things are being lofted in the atmosphere, at least some sort of stuff there. So let's get back to, I'm going to switch over to velocity mode. And you can see it showing up brightly there. Let's go down to this one. Which one was the mode I wanted to show you? You can see it back here. Look at this one. This thing was coming into Griffin right there. Just really knotted up. And if I go over to storm relative velocity here, we can go back and you can see it there as well. So a no doubter through the Griffin area, unfortunately, and hopefully that thing will calm down a little bit. But back to what we have. We don't have any warnings as far as tornado warnings, but we do have Monroe County, northern Monroe is in this severe thunderstorm tornado possible. But what we're mainly seeing with this right here is straight line wind. So if you're Forsyth northward, this is going to be some gusty stuff, but this is it. This is finally the big hoorah. We get it through and it's over. So as fast as it's moving, it'll make a little racket for a little bit, come on through and let's just get it on out of here, all right? So it'll be a quick mover. So there's the good news on that. Let me pull the map on over toward the west here. Now what's going to be coming in later for the bulk of our area is all of this part back here, which you see a lot of it does not have warnings for it. And this back here has a severe thunderstorm warning, but I'm hoping that what's happening is that a lot of this is running into eventually some of the areas where we've already seen some development, and maybe that's helping us. And most of your energy and your shear, by the way, is mainly up this way. So that's where the bulk of that was going to be anyway, was going to be probably from about where it is toward the north. And you can see most of your warnings go up that way, anywhere from Griffin all the way up past north and east of the Atlanta area. This stuff's already through Atlanta. So let's dig in and zoom in on the Monroe County area. If you're in Thomaston, you have the leading edge coming in. And again, Forsyth right here. So High Falls, some very strong wind coming in, heavy rain, doing the lightning thing, all that. But the tornadic stuff is to your north. So Spalding, Butts County here in a little bit. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for straight line winds mainly. We're continuing to watch these to make sure there's nothing rotating in there. But every time I go back, and it's worth doing every few seconds if we can, I don't see anything in there rotating. What I do see is this clearly is. This down here with the part in Monroe County is mainly straight line winds with this stuff. But we'll continue to watch it. We'll look up and down that line to see if anything is yelling out, hey, this is something that's possibly rotating. Let's back it up and see what's coming into Monroe County, into High Falls. I don't see anything really there. A little bit of a dimple, but not much. Right there as you get just off toward the west of 75 High Falls. As fast as this is moving, by the time I show you this, it's already gone. It's moving at over 60 miles an hour. This stuff is already booking it. So each time a scan comes in, you're going to see a big jump from where it was. All right, what is that one right there? That one says, according to the main tornado of Spalding County. Okay. All right, so the chat room is absolutely slammed this afternoon. There's so much going on. So what we were dealing with for right now in our area is going to be what we were thinking probably is going to be the case, is going to be a handful of these severe thunderstorm warnings with tornado possible. I think a lot of them are going to have that sort of wording in there. And again, the hope would be nice if some of this stuff would weaken down as it comes in. The only part that I'm really seeing spinning right now is this in Griffin heading toward Jackson. So this is going to go up and over us, it looks like this. It's going to catch parts of Jasper County here in a little bit.
Looks like they're saying the tornado could be a little bit off the ground now, but...
The one for Griffin?
Yeah, but it's hard to say really.
Yeah, he said hard to say if tornado there is still in the ground, but the TDS, tornado debris signature, could be lofted at this point, but still a very dangerous situation in that area. So, yeah, the Peachtree City really watching this thing right here that's going from Griffin into Jackson here, kind of between there and McDonough there. But again, let's zoom in on what we have. Of course, we're watching everything. Jordan West over there watching the chat room, keeping an eye on everything that's coming in. We're hearing from Alex Forbes from time to time too, so we have a lot of folks working on this, watching and seeing what's happening. If you were in North Monroe County though, this shows that bow right through here. So that's where you're going to get those gusty winds coming in. So not just the wind coming out of these storms, but the sheer movement itself. I mean, this thing's moving 65 miles per hour. So this will be cruising on across through Juliet here in just a little bit. As we go on down toward Thomaston, seeing things broken a little bit there, but holding enough there for a severe thunderstorm warning. Let me find out when these, let's see, that one is until 4:45. This one for Monroe County until 5:15. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this one in Upson County, which is going to be for the bulk of our areas. This comes on across. This is the part we're looking for right here. And it looks like some of this is kind of scattering a little bit, but I am watching this part right here coming up. It looks like a kind of a new area bulging up there, so we'll have to watch and see what that's going to do. Let's take the map on over that way. Let's just keep an eye. Let's take the map down to it. And well, you do see extreme southeast Alabama heading in towards southwest Georgia. There's a tornado warning there. What we're seeing, the part again that we're watching for, let's take the map on up that way. Right through there. This part north of Columbus, Hamilton area right here, is kind of keeping an eye to see if there's any broad circulation there, because that's what's eventually would roll this way. So hopefully that won't get any crazier than what it is. All right, let's see. All right, but this is, again, this is not for us, but just looking at that storm that is in the Griffin area, the one we were talking about, Spalding County. They were saying, which has been the history of some of these, believe the tornado or tornadoes have lifted for the moment over Spalding, Henry, Butts counties, but supercell has a history of cycling and likely will spawn another tornado given the environment. So there's so much wind shear out there that even when you think you're done with one, another one can pop up. There is the really big picture. Just so you can see, that was the storm we were following forever and ever. It's finally left our area, and then here comes the main line coming on in. And again, it's coming in sort of with timing, maybe a little bit ahead of timing the way the models were showing it. The warnings that we do have, severe thunderstorm warning for Upson County and parts of Taylor County, again right there for the southern extent. That goes in for another 4 minutes. And then this one here is going to be for northern Monroe County, and again that goes until 5:15 for that one. The only thing that we see rotating that has the word tornado or anything on it is that is above us from Spalding going into Butts County here, riding toward the east-northeast. So that's going to take it into northern Jasper like this, which is that cell we've been watching all day. You could follow it all the way back to Selma, Alabama, and see this thing coming across, and we were tracking it that it would go somewhere between Macon and Atlanta, and that's pretty much what this is doing. So that part of the line has been a bear the entire afternoon. All right, so let's get in on Monroe County. Again, not seeing anything rotating here, but you can tell by that well-defined edge that is some straight line winds coming in. So that's going to be some gusty stuff. But again, as fast as this is moving, if you're standing right here, this stuff will come across, and then within minutes, the main shot of this is over. And then you just have some rumbles and thunder and some rain, but you made it through the leading knife edge, as I call it, the very beginning, which is where the worst stuff would be, is right on the very edge of it. All that stuff hanging back in the back is just leftover rain and rumbles of thunder and all that. So High Falls is already clear. All right, so finally we're going to be able to do some of that. It won't be long for Scythe. This is going to come on through and get out of your hair as well. Thomaston, for the most part, the main wind show is over. It's just rain coming through there now. As we take the map out, interesting to see what's coming up in a little bit, because didn't we have one of these, was it this one right here? Until 4:45. So we'll see what they're going to do with that coming up in about 2.5 minutes. All right, Spalding County, talking about that Griffin storm. Power lines down, trees down. Henry County, about 1,300 people without power. Then you go up to the one in DeKalb County, nearly 8,000 current power outages there. But this is stuff above us, but just to show you what kind of day it's been up that way. Fayetteville, trees down, power line down. All right. So again, as I mentioned, I didn't want to do that. Nope. Take that away. As I mentioned, very fast moving out there. Let's do this thing again that I did a moment ago, and I have to sometimes do this just to, it gets so jumbled up with the lightning and the warning polygons and all that. Sometimes it's just good. Just take a step back and just breathe it in, all right? Just take a look at it for what it is. And you can see that clearly is a beast right there. That thing is rotating something as it goes through Griffin there. It's in Butts County now, eventually heading into Jasper. As we roll on down, it's mainly rain with maybe some gusty winds as you go farther south. So I'm hoping that this is kind of how it's going to go as we go through tonight, that this was the problem. We get this problem out of here, and then we're hanging back with some rain, maybe some gusty winds, have a little lightning show and some rumbles of thunder and all that, but we still have to watch this stuff back toward the south and west. Now this earlier had a tornado warning. That's heading in more toward the Albany area. But it looks at this point like we have the bad stuff up here and the bad stuff down there. If we can keep this part in the middle that's coming this way somewhat in check, then that would be fantastic. That we could deal with the rain and the thunder and a little bit of wind there. But again, as fast as this stuff is moving, it's an ever-changing situation. So again, I don't have any of the warnings turned on. So if you're thinking, oh, there are no warnings out there, I have them that layer turned off right now. So again, you can play meteorologist at home, and you can tell for sure something was spinning through the Griffin area right there as it comes on across. As we go farther down again, and we're about to see an update on some of these polygons. Let me go ahead and turn those back on. Here's the lightning, and throw the warnings back on. So now we're back to the jumbled mess. And again, coming up in 10 seconds, we're going to see what happens with this one right here. Do they let that one go? I would imagine they probably would, as they take a look back toward the south and west to see if there's anything that's going to pique their interest that way for later. There goes that one. All right, so that one's gone right at 4:45. So now what we're seeing is northern Monroe County into Jasper. That's it. That's all we have for warnings right now. Now the big bulk that's still going to come through the main core of our area is still back toward the south and west, coming through Columbus, but it is booking it, so it'll be here before long. But the good news is that part has no warnings on it. So we hope that stays that way, and if we can just stick with some rain and some thunder and a little bit of wind, that'll be so much better. I know that is not the case up here, though, that came through the Griffin area. Again, the tornado warning is to our north. It is north of Monroe County, so it's going toward kind of maybe even above Shadydale toward Madison here, going over 20 here in a little bit. But this is going to be, in just a matter of minutes, this is going to be already through Monroe County. If you're in for Scythe right now, probably, if I'm guessing, I'm not on the ground, but just rain and some rumbles of thunder, maybe a little bit of a breeze out there right now, except for maybe toward the north. This is a little bit windier here, what's coming through Juliet here in a little bit, for the lake northward, let's call it that, and then eventually into parts of Jones County toward Round Oak there. Let's go back, and every chance we get, we need to be checking this velocity to see. Well, obviously there's something going on here. Again, that's the one that's north of Jackson, really, heading in toward Jasper County. Let's roll the map down. Anywhere along this line, I don't see anything. Do you? Nope.
Nope.
So Monroe, Upson, as we go farther down, we're going to switch over to a different radar right here. Even that stuff back around Columbus, I don't see any rotation in any of that. The only part I can find some is down here with this big fella, which is heading toward Cuthbert. So this is southeast Alabama coming into southwest Georgia. That one's a beast. But that one looks like it's going to run underneath us for now. Hopefully it stays that way. If it were to do anything later, it might clip some of our southern counties, if it's even still around. We'll see.
Now, the Storm Prediction Center did release a statement about that one warning just north of Jackson. So that one we've been watching for the past couple of hours, and it started out way near, I think it was Selma, you know, and it's just been tracking. And the Storm Prediction Center released a statement saying that that same little cell could be at least something that we're going to be watching over the next couple of hours as this strong front makes its way through central Georgia. Also, National Weather Service was saying that there is some major structural damage near Hobby Lobby and Walmart.
In Griffin.
Yeah, in Griffin. Yeah, so looks like we are still seeing damage. Whether that, you know, that circulation is touching the ground or not, it's still a very severe situation. We're seeing some very strong wind speeds and wind gusts. So even if that tornado is not touching the ground, you definitely want to at least be inside and or in your safe place, because that we're still under a tornado warning with that particular area of rotation.
Okay, yeah, that's talking about, once again, if you're familiar with the Griffin area in Spalding County, that's where we're seeing that damage, major structural damage in a pretty heavily populated area, shopping area through Griffin. So now, again, that's staying north of Jackson. That's the tornado warning, and that's the only one that is anywhere near us. The only other warning we have is that piece of a severe thunderstorm warning right here for northern Monroe County. That technically goes until 5:15, yes, but it's about to outrun that polygon in a minute. So what I mean by that is, if it's gone from the polygon, the warning is no good anymore because the leading edge has already come through. So Forsyth, seeing the rain and thunder stuff and maybe some wind coming through now. Let's see, most of the sounds we're hearing, you may not be able to hear it, but we hear our doorbell sounds and dings and all that in here. Most of it is away from us that we're hearing right now. So far, so good with this. I don't mean that anyway for Spalding, Butts County, Jasper County, places like that. We don't want it to go anywhere, but for our area that we're having to keep an eye on right here, for the most part, it is just rain and some rumbles of thunder. This is the only piece of a severe thunderstorm warning in northern Monroe County, which is almost irrelevant here in a minute because it's going to have already moved through that area. And as we go farther down, this is kind of the plan that we wanted to see, was this sort of stuff softening up at least enough to keep it below warnings criteria there as this comes on in. So again, with the tilt of all this, it's leaning southwest to northeast. So as it leans this way, obviously the northern counties are going to get in on it first. The farther south you are, you've got to wait for all this area down here to come across. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning. Figured that was coming. Now that is going to be for Monticello down to Round Oak to Forsyth. And let me get the wording on that as it's coming out. Obviously tornado possible. They're going to all be in that now. 60 mile per hour winds. I want to get the movement though so I can track this out. This is going to be, again, moving northeast at 60. This thing is in a hurry to get somewhere. So that, we're going to treat that as one giant line. So what we'll do is we'll put it on now, and then we'll draw down this thing like this, and then we'll go off toward the east-northeast. 60. Man, I don't know if I have enough room on the screen to do this. All right, so you can see some of the places that would be in the path of that. The main tornado warned part is this, though. So what they're doing is they're putting this warning out, saying tornado possible, because this is going to ride in there a little bit as well. We'll see what they end up doing with that, if they make another tornado warning. But this right here is just saying we're keeping an eye on this line, at the very least 60 mile per hour winds with that. Let me move that over so I'm not standing in front of it right there. So you can see some of the places that would be in the path of that. Again, a very quick mover. These things that we saw earlier, these other cells we've been tracking, I mean, these things were moving 35, 40 miles per hour. They were just kind of drifters doing their own thing out there. But now this line's coming in, and this thing has all the force behind it. That's the reason why this thing is hauling it, and it is moving at 60 to 65 miles per hour. So even if you don't have Severe thunderstorm wind speeds in there. Just the sheer movement of the storm already takes it above severe thunderstorm criteria. You're going at 60 miles per hour, just the movement of the storm. And as we look off, let's see, what was the last Skycam we had pulled up, Jordan? Was it the, it is the Macon Skycam. We're looking toward the east, though, with that. You're probably not going to see a whole lot anyway. There's so much cloud cover out there. But let me get you back over to the radar shot. So again, so far so good. You don't want severe weather of any kind, but so far we're limiting the warnings on the line here. And we're looking at Jasper, Monroe, Jones, and Putnam. So again, 60 mile per hour wind speeds, but also 60 mile per hour movement. So it is the movement of this storm that's kicking it as it comes across. The main stuff for everybody else, talking Macon, Roberta, Fort Valley, Warner Robins, all that, is what lags toward the south and west. It's going to take some time for that to get over here. All right, hold on. Yeah, I'm getting word from a few folks that it was a direct hit in Griffin with lots of damage there. So hoping for the best there, but apparently that thing touched down possibly right in the city of Griffin in a populated area, because they talked about earlier. And I know a lot of folks have family and friends that live, and it's just right up the road. Major structural damage to Hobby Lobby store in Griffin, other damage and power lines down. So it sounds like a very concentrated, populated area, shopping district right through there. So we'll keep you posted on that. That doesn't sound good. Let's move the map down and catch hold of some of these guys back here toward the south and west. We're looking at them now. It's mainly just rain. Notice this gap between this severe thunderstorm warning and this one down here. What happens to be that this whole window is what's rolling through our area. So if we can keep this unwarned and this just stays as rain with some rumbles, we'll take that. Now we're going to have to keep an eye on what's down here as we go on into the evening hours. This that is running across toward Cuthbert here, because it's got a little bit of an east-northeast movement. If it stays like this, we may have to watch Dooley, Crisp, Wilcox counties a little bit later if it's still holding. Now, it may be that this thing kind of starts to wash out a little bit as it gets closer in. All right, so again, that one warning, the only one we have there until 5:15, and that is for Jasper, Putnam, Monroe, and Jones counties. And that thing that came through Griffin just a little bit ago is just absolutely booking it toward I-20 here, heading toward Madison here in just a little bit. I mean, so it's got a ton of movement on it. It's 65 miles per hour toward the northeast. Let's roll back down again. If you're in Juliet, High Falls, all clear. If you are in Forsyth, almost an all clear. The leading edge is coming through now. I think primarily what's going to be left now is going to be just from rain and rumbles coming across, and eventually we're going to get, let's see, Thomaston's already clear for the most part. When I say all clear, I mean there's still going to be some rain and some rumbles out there. And then, of course, let me make sure, though, before I say that, let me look on off toward the south and west. Let's see, I'll jump over to another radar and look at that right there. That's the only thing right there that's kind of heading in toward Upson County here in a little bit. So let's watch and see what this does. Right now, it looks like just some gusty winds that are coming through. Let me check it on another source here for a second. And we're jumping between radars, but yeah, that looks kind of like what that is. All right, so let me get you back out to this while I check this.
It looks like they're saying that there is a tree down on I-75 south that exit 193, so the right lane and shoulder are impacted. So traffic should still be moving slowly, and through there just might slow down a little bit. And another thing they're watching is, someone said, the major damage in downtown Griffin.
An experiment.
Yeah, and people are trapped, it seems. Let's see, still getting information, and they just updated a tornado warning near northeast of Jackson. So let's see what they did there. Yeah,
there's some issues going on up there, that's for sure. All right, so what they're doing now is issuing a new tornado warning. You can see it right there. So this is where I was showing you earlier that it would go kind of like this. So there is that latest warning, which is now for northern Jasper County and grazing through parts of Putnam County. So again, this is heading up toward Madison, right? The same storm that came through Griffin a little bit ago is kind of heading toward Madison. Let me get you over to that. If you are in northern Jasper County, Shady Dale, for the most part, this looks like this is going to stay a little bit north, but unfortunately, this thing is rolling right toward Madison right here. And it has had a history of not being very nice. Let's see, there is one source. Let me try this one right here. And yeah, you can see some spin going on right through here. All right, there was something else mentioned there. Severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible Dade and Walker counties. Okay, so again, so far so good for us, other than this Boeing segment. And when I talk about those, remember I showed you on Future View the past couple of days, we would see where the line looked like it kind of wanted to buckle out like that. That's where you can see just a punch of wind coming in behind it right here. And so when it bows out like this, it's going to be strong wind from Forsyth all the way up through here. And then in northern Jasper County, Shadydale area or north, also that tornado warning goes up here. So if you're down through Jasper, parts of Monroe, into northern Jones County, eventually Putnam in just a little bit, strong winds about to come in. And this really is the worst part that I can see of our area is going to be running north here, is mainly these northern counties. What's lagging behind from Monroe, about to get more into Taylor and Crawford counties, is generally just rain and thunderstorms at this point. And hopefully it stays that way and we don't see any other craziness come out of that. But the main, where all the shear is taking place and we're seeing the wind rotate and all this stuff is going on up here with this. So, let me check everything that's coming in here. All right. Alex chiming in, saying, look at, yeah, I saw this earlier. Unfortunately, the folks up north, closer to the center of all this, the low and the energy, I mean, you're still seeing, there's a ton of shear up here. So even though these folks have been seeing some clearing, there's a new tornado warning up that way heading in toward northwest Georgia there. So, but for us, for the most part, I think that as things come across, that should be the clearing that we're wanting to see here. So again, severe thunderstorm warning for Monroe, Jones, Jasper, and Putnam. And again, that one was just issued a little bit ago. This one goes until 5:15. And again, mainly for the threat of straight line winds. But I do believe it said, man, I got to scroll back through all this stuff. I think it did say tornado, yes, tornado possible. Again, on a day like today, probably every severe thunderstorm warning that comes down is going to say that. Okay, they're talking about northwest Georgia. All right, so take the map back down and we'll jump into that southern radar right there. All right, so all of this moving across, again, the main chunk of what's going to be coming through here is, so far so good, is that it's in an unwarned area. We want it to stay that way. This is down, crossing over into southwest Georgia, is moving a little bit east-northeast. If it were to continue on that trajectory there, that could be maybe an issue a little bit later here for Crispin to Wilcox, if it stays with that intensity. There's nothing saying that it's going to stay that crazy, and so we hope that it does not. All right, we're at the 5 o'clock hour now. It has just hit. Normal news time is happening right now. And what we want to do is just update you on what's happening. We've had a handful of warnings this afternoon. If you haven't been with us, and we're seeing a severe thunderstorm warning now that is one for northern Monroe County, and then this latest one for parts of Monroe, northern Jones, into Jasper and Putnam counties. And oh, by the way, that one that came through earlier, we were tracking a new tornado warning for it as it goes on over into South Carolina. So again, this Boeing section is the worst part for us right now. And then just out of reach of us is this spinning tornado warning right here that apparently did a lot of damage in Griffin, right through town. It's heading toward Madison now. Outside of that, what we are doing is looking at a lull as let me center it up and get it more on what you're used to seeing for our area. We had the rain that moved through earlier, mainly all just rain, but that northern one was a bear. It came through and had some tornado warning stuff with it. And then as you go stretch back toward the south and west, this is what all is coming through, coming up soon. Now, there is a new severe thunderstorm warning south of Columbus. That's that part I was showing you earlier, I believe, that was looking like, okay, we got to keep an eye on this area to see if there's going to be at least be some gusty winds with it. And turned out that there is enough there for that, but we're not seeing anything rotate. Let's do a check on that while we're sitting right here, though. All right, so we're mainly looking at straight line winds right there. Don't see anything rotating with that. The reason I'm showing you this, you're like, that's Columbus, man, what does that matter? Because everything we see from this area now, we track out toward us. So if you take that polygon and now move it, where it's going is like this. So that's why we start looking at these parts of the line back here, because that's what's heading this way. This stuff up here is going up and over. It's the worst part, and hopefully this doesn't get any worse. But everything back that way now, looking west and a little bit southwest, is where we have to look now for what will be coming through here. All right. So that tornado warning for northern Jasper and Putnam County, again, heading toward Madison there, and you can see that storm clearly rotating right there, and has been a crazy thing coming across through Spalding County into Griffin, apparently right through town in Griffin, some damage there. Rolling down Monroe County, heading more into Jones County now, western Jones. Keep in mind the movement of this storm is around 60 miles per hour, so even if, say, the winds coming out of this were not that great, the movement of the storm is enough to kick off a severe thunderstorm warning. So that's going to fly through here pretty quickly. Forsyth, seeing some rain and some rumbles there. As we spread on back over to Upson County, again, because of the orientation of this line, we're not seeing just a straight shut off and then all of a sudden that's just it. We're not seeing anything else. So some of this back here is still going to build on across. This is like the big shot here, and then this is just kind of the floaters that are hanging around coming on back in. So there's still going to be some rain and some rumbles out there. But as far as a sharp, well-defined edge of severe weather, we're not seeing it in this section of the line for right now, and hopefully that remains the case. There is the really big picture, and you can see it for all it's worth spread out here. And there's, again, what we saw a little bit earlier, and that was that storm that came through that was causing problems, and it's still causing problems north of Augusta now, heading into South Carolina. Again, a new warning up here in northwest Georgia. You look at it and you say, well, that's behind the line. Yeah, it is, but there's still enough energy up here for that to happen. For us, when we get this through, I think that's pretty much going to be it once we get this on through here. And again, the swift movement of this is helpful to kind of get this on through. Now, we've got a long way to go to get it all the way past Soberton and McRae and these areas. So that's going to take us a few hours for this to come on across. It'll only be a couple hours, something like that, with the movement of all this. And again, as we look back toward the south and west, these kind of guys right here, we have to keep an eye on them to see if they keep that intensity. What is the next? Just follow the polygon shapes and see where that goes next. Where does this one go next? You know, like that, even though that's a severe thunderstorm warning so far with no tornado type words on there. All right, so we go back in. Forsyth, this thing just breezed on through there in a hurry. And again, that is where the sharpest part for us is moving through Jasper into Putnam now. So whereas we did see some of that stuff that came through earlier through parts of Jones County into Jasper, Putnam, you know, toward Lake Sinclair and all that, it looks like this other round's about to come through. All right, cancels severe thunderstorm warning for Jasper, Lamar, Monroe. Cancels tornado warning for Butts, Henry, Newton, Spalding. Issues severe thunderstorm warning for... Yes, Taylor. That would be fantastic. But before we do that, I just want to show you there is a new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued off of this one that is south and west of Columbus. So this is something to keep an eye on as this goes across for eventually Taylor, Macon counties, maybe toward Peach House, and if it keeps this sort of punch. The part that's in the middle right here, thankfully so far, I don't see any warnings, but we're going to keep an eye on that, and we'll regroup here, and we'll get back with you in a second. But I think we're going to welcome in Frank and Lori now, as this is normal news time. So good to see you guys. We'll be here. If we need to jump in, we may tap you on the shoulder for a second.
Yes, a lot happening. Thanks very much, Ben.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks so much, Ben.
I take a look at some of the storm photos. A lot of folks have been sending pictures in. This one is from South Lizella right here, and this is the way the skies have been looking for the last several hours that Ben and Jordan have been on the air right now, bringing you the severe weather coverage. This one, I believe, from Milledgeville, too. You can see the clouds up in the sky.
And this one is from Lake Sinclair, those ominous blue clouds you see, and also kind of dipping down there to the left. So that's over Lake Sinclair. And then we also have some more from Milledgeville. Just really seeing these ominous clouds, and a lot of us saw these as they were building in this afternoon.
Yeah, some photos from you here from various parts of central Georgia right now. Continue to send those photos in to us. Fortunately, right now, no damage reports that we've heard from around central Georgia. Ben was saying there were some in the Griffin area right now.
And check this out, video from Lake Topasofsky. Watch the system just roll by. Some pretty intense clouds here. You can see that in the back. We want to thank Frank Hoke for sending this picture in.
National Weather Service confirming damage in Selma, Alabama after a powerful tornado-warned storm hit that area. This is a video taken by Krishan Moore showing damage to a residential part of Selma, Alabama. Emergency personnel obviously on the scene right now working to clear roads that were damaged.
And a quick check on power outages. Georgia Power customers in our area not seeing any interruptions right now. Of course, that's great news. Up north in Atlanta, thousands without power. Just like Ben was talking about, this is really hitting the northern part of our state a lot tougher than it is here in central Georgia.
Good news, Ben, as you've been saying, this thing is moving very quickly right now, but still a good ways to go before it gets through all of us in central Georgia.
Yeah, you're right. And the farther north you go in our area is where we're seeing that crazier stuff here too. Once again, Jasper, Putnam counties, and again, the movement of the storm itself is enough to draw your attention to why there's a severe thunderstorm warning. I mean, you get upwards of 55, 60 mile per hour, then you're in the severe thunderstorm warning territory, and that's how fast the actual stuff is moving. So Eatonton coming up next here. As we go on back into Upson County, Thomaston, Taylor County, getting into Crawford. A few lightning strikes here, some rumbles of thunder going on, and I think we're going to keep that going as we go through the area. So it is going to, at the very least, it's going to make some racket out there and make a little noise, and there's going to be some wind with it at times. But if we can stay down below severe criteria, that'll be fantastic. And every time I look around, I keep looking just to see if I see anything that's rotating, and so far so good. Even that one that was in Griffin earlier looks like it has broadened out a good bit heading toward Madison. So that's some good news for those folks. As we go on down into this here, and this is, this is the kind of stuff we're looking at back toward the north and west, or through the south and west, because it's going to go toward the east, a little bit east-northeast. So this is what would be moving more into our area as we go through the coming hour or so. So we keep an eye on this, and so far it's a severe thunderstorm warning. Once again, that wording is going to be in every one of these, I think, as we go on through the evening hours tonight with tornado possible, because at any given moment, if they say severe thunderstorm warning and then they don't go tornado warning, the Peachtree City folks, the National Weather Service, and then all of a sudden something spins up, so you got to be on your toes just in case, because again, it's that whack-a-mole situation, the old game where they'll pop up somewhere and then you say, all right, there's a warning there, and then that goes away, and then this one spins up. So we're seeing that kind of go to plan, with the exception of a couple of them that have decided to be some long distance runners and have come all the way across through Alabama, occasionally spinning. Again, we showed you Selma, what eventually just came through Griffin just a few minutes ago, and at times has put down some damage there. As we scroll the map on down, again, what's coming into Taylor County here is mainly just rain. What is just a little bit south and west here is what eventually will come into Taylor and Macon counties, Peach, Houston, eventually later on. And then this down here, which has been spinning at times, may graze our southern counties a little bit later as that comes on across. So we can roll the map over. When I do, you can see we tap into one of the Alabama radars, so we can see it a little bit clearer. Again, as long as it can stay with just rain and rumbles, we're fine with that. I think everybody's okay with that. But the afternoon has proven that we have to be on our toes just in case. And that severe thunderstorm warning is the only one that we have for right now. I'm doing a check around the chat room again and see if they're mainly talking about that stuff to the north that's been coming on across and kind of getting more into that damage. They keep mentioning the Hobby Lobby in Griffin is one of those spots. So I'm kind of somewhat familiar, I think, with some of that area in there, and I think it's that heavily populated kind of shopping area. Unfortunately, I hope that's not, we're not going to hear a lot more out of all that. But
I have a photo up from the Walmart out there in Griffin of some damage.
Right.
You can
Let's
see here
it,
now.
Jordan.
This is the National Weather Service sent this picture in. Like I said, this is the Walmart out near Griffin. So that's an example of the damage, and we're getting reports of all types of damage out there. So might have to go out there and see what's up with all of that out there. So
thanks, Jordan, for sending that. Yeah, that was in that same area, wasn't it? Because they were talking about Hobby Lobby, Walmart kind of area.
Hobby Lobby, yep, exactly.
Oof. So some rough stuff, and that's the same storm that, again, has been putting all that damage down in Alabama. It's the same one, and for right now, it's behaving for the most part coming through Madison, but it just shows you it can keep on spinning. And this thing may drag itself and all of its luggage all the way into South Carolina later as a problem for these folks. All right, so do we see rain coming into Crawford County? Yeah, starting to see some of that. Taylor County, again, each time a scan comes in, we're seeing kind of a swift movement from where there was not much of anything to all of a sudden it just jumps because of how fast all this is going. But all of this is just rain, and we want it to stay as that. Obviously, there are thunderstorms here. We have lightning going on and some rumbles of thunder. So you will hear that as it comes in, and it's going to roll over some of the same areas that had that storm that was nasty earlier. So coming through Crawford, West and North Bibb, Jones counties, places like that. But so far, this is not severe this time around as it's coming through. The only part is this up here. But let me take you up there so you can see if you're Oconee to Sinclair right here. We already had that doozy that came through Sinclair a little bit earlier. Now this is an all skate. Everybody's getting involved right here as this will be coming through. It's already almost out of that polygon, but it's going to cruise through Putnam County between Oconee and Lake Sinclair here. So if you know somebody that was like, oh man, it feels great, it was 70 degrees on the lake, I'm enjoying a nice January day, get them off the lake, because this is going to come through and be an absolute problem with winds easily at 60 miles per hour as it comes on across. So far, again, each time we check, we're not seeing anything that's rotating along that segment, but at the very least, some straight line winds, and so you don't want to be in a boat in any of that. As we roll down, you can play meteorologist at home here too. Do you see any of the red and green that is clumping up next to each other in a couplet showing you where any rotation is? And no, we don't see any of that. Now we're going to see those tornado possible words again with all these severe thunderstorm warnings just in case they do spin at any given point. Okay. So we would say, let me see if I can do this at this point. Other than still having some rain and some rumbles, for the most part, for Forsyth, it's pretty much in the clear. Thomaston is pretty much as well. It's still going to be pouring and raining. We don't see a well-defined edge to get that quick clearing there, which is a good thing because that also means we're not seeing straight line winds there too. So for the most part, we're just pulling these things on through. And for the next few minutes, we'll get on through Crawford into Bibb County in a little bit. And again, with the way this is angled from southwest to northeast, you're going to get your northern counties in first, and then it takes the farther south and west you are, it's going to take time for the angle of these storms to come on across. I do want to show you how this is looking as first. Well, I'm going to show you the model, but I did want to show you that the reason this stuff, we were looking at a level 1, level 2 somewhere in there, and then they bumped everybody up from Macon to Atlanta, back Birmingham to Montgomery to a level 3 today. Once it was like a look and said, oh, hold on a second, there's a lot of wind shear out here. We need to take that level up a notch, and clearly it's proven out to be that way. Here's the high-res model, and it's going to try to estimate how things are going to go tonight. There is around 6 o'clock or so coming through the Macon area, Fort Valley, Montezuma, now Warner Robins to Perry here as we go 6:30 to 7. And you can see again with that lean like this, your northern counties are going to get cleared first. And then it's just because of the orientation of these things, then it takes a little longer as you go south. What is that? That's severe thunderstorm warning. That is not us. Okay, so going forward with this as we go through the later hours, this takes us into around 8, 9 o'clock. If it's still going then, the stuff's moving pretty fast. I think we're still at least going to have some rain and thunder out there. As far as the severe threat though, I think it should be over by then in our southeastern counties. And that's it. And then the wind will set up shop overnight, dropping into the 40s tomorrow with a wind chill in the 30s easily all day tomorrow. Very cold stuff coming in tomorrow and for the weekend. So this is a big front in a lot of different ways because of not just the severe threat, but what's coming in behind it. So that's where we are for right now, guys. And of course, if you have any pictures, any damaged videos, anything like that, you can send them to 752-1309 is the number for that. And we have seen plenty of pictures and videos coming out. And of course, at times earlier this afternoon, some of the sirens going off and all that. And of course, it was coming through a time when the kids were getting out of school and trying to figure out, do we let them out in the carpool line yet or hold them back? And in some cases, people did keep the kids in and even brought some of the parents in. So that was really smart thinking on how to play that. It's a great idea when these are coming through during that time in the afternoon. It's so much worse to be trying to get on the road and shuttling them in the cars like that. So, all right, there's a new thing. Let's see, what is that one? cancels tornado warning for Butts, Jasper, Morgan, Newton, Putnam, and so with that, we right now do not have any warnings for our area. We do have that severe thunderstorm warning just outside of Taylor County. We'll see how this does holding up, but I got to be honest with you, this is looking a lot better. Seeing this kind of chopping up a little bit. I'm not saying it's over or that something couldn't still kind of kick up, but for right now, this is looking much better. The gusty part here, again, Lake Oconee, Lake Sinclair, you want to batten down the hatches with this coming through. There's no longer a severe thunderstorm warning, but these winds could easily be over 50 miles per hour coming in toward Hancock again with a spot that just saw that. So we'll keep an eye on this as it goes toward Taylor County to see if eventually a warning is going to be issued there. So guys, I know that a lot of news has been coming in and we've been picking up some pictures and videos. We're going to go to a break for a second and then we're going to come back. Let's do that. Stay with us.
Okay, yeah, so we are still experiencing some pretty strong wind speeds across central Georgia. So seeing some gusts up to 24 miles per hour. But let's move on over to the radar shot. See what's going on out there. Give it 1 second, it's loading. All right, so that severe thunderstorm warning that we were talking about earlier has expired, mostly for central Georgia, but we are still seeing that warning extending off into Madison, Greensboro. Still, that severe thunderstorm warning is still there in Madison and Greensboro as well as in Elder. So if you're in that area and you're watching 13W and may see that far out, you might want to still kind of be in that safe place. I know that tornado warning is still kind of expired, but we are, still getting some information in my ear.
Okay. Are we streaming? I need to be able to communicate. Yeah, okay. So if you're watching the stream and can still hear us here, what we're keeping an eye on, we apologize for any technical difficulties that we've been having here, what you may have heard or not heard as you're watching the stream here. But what we are seeing is now just general thunderstorms for the most part, riding from the west to the east. And no warnings at this time, but we'll continue to watch that as we go through time. Issue severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible, Baldwin, Jones. All right, I've got to start us off here. Guys, if you're watching the stream, I'm sorry for all the inside baseball, but we're going to start you off here. Okay, here we go with a new severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible, mentioned in the wording there. This one is for Jones, Baldwin, Putnam, and Hancock counties. And what it is that one that just expired a moment ago, still causing some trouble with the wind. So I mentioned earlier, if you are in Lake Oconee, guys, if we can take max 2 on the wall right here, that would be great. If we could, I have it zoomed in on it. There we go, right there. And what we're seeing is from Oconee down to Sinclair, this sharp edge of where the gusty winds are. So again, 60 mile per hour winds possible. So if you know anybody on Lake Oconee, Lake Sinclair, and they're out hanging around fishing, whatever it is, they need to get somewhere quickly as this comes through. The wording still, tornado possible, just in case anything were to rotate with any of these storms. But as we look, not seeing anything, but still keeping an eye out to see if we see any little wrinkles in the situation here. Again, so far so good. And as we roll on down through our area, not seeing anything rotating with any of the other stuff either. So the big picture shows what is actually a good thing. In between that warning and the one that is to the south and west of Taylor County is kind of broken stuff here that is generally just rain with some rumbles of thunder and maybe a gusty wind at times. But for the most part, we can keep pulling this thing through like this. This is fantastic, which means the main bulk is to the north with some nastier stuff toward the south here. But so far, so good. If we can keep the bulk of our area, you know, kind of just normal rain. If you're in North Bibb, West Bibb, a few sprinkles starting to come down now as we go over into Crawford County, the same thing. Monroe County covered up with rain right now and some rumbles of thunder. Same thing through Jones County. And again, so anywhere from Milledgeville up through Sinclair, Oconee, eventually towards Sparta, an area that it just saw that thunderstorm that was nasty looking and possibly rotating a little bit earlier. Now another one coming through, which this one, I do not see anything rotating with that. So I don't see anything tornadic on it. It is more of straight line winds with that. So that's where we stand for now. As we look at the timing on that, that one goes until 6 o'clock, this latest warning that just came out. And so we'll see what happens with this down here. The National Weather Service start to issue something for Taylor County in a little bit as that comes on across. I would think if they were going to, it would be kind of a Taylor, let's clear that off, a Taylor-Macon County, if they were going to issue a new severe thunderstorm warning that would kind of drag out somewhere like in here if they're going to do that across. But right now, we haven't seen signs that that's going to happen. All right, so Frank and Lori, I think we're going to toss back over to you and we'll regroup here.
Yeah, a lot to keep our eyes on. Thanks very much, Ben. We'll continue to check back in with you as the situation warrants.
We have a few photos that we want to take a look at before we get to some other local headlines. Here we have, this is Hancock, Putnam County. You can see the damage done to this store sign. That was pretty powerful winds you can see. Maybe that's the Family Dollar, I believe. And then also here, more ominous clouds over
It's like Tom Hill Senior Boulevard there, kind of along that north side drive, Tom Hill Senior Boulevard, heading towards the interstate where those clouds were right there.
Not quite sure where this is, but definitely from the road, you can just see those clouds that have covered up central Georgia for most of the day.
This looks McDonough, picture of damage in McDonough. You've heard both Ben and Jordan talking about the damage in Griffin, and this is McDonough too. And you can see some damage there by these powerful winds.
Oh, and really our neighbors to the north really suffered the brunt of this storm, you know, more so than we did.
Again, just pictures people have been sending in to us of just clouds throughout the day as these storms started to build earlier in the day. Peaks of sunshine in the morning, early afternoon, and then obviously the clouds started rolling in.
Okay, and we have some power outages we want to share with you. A few minutes ago, we didn't see too many in our area, really the Atlanta area, seeing a lot more of the power outages. Kind of hard for us to see here, but I think we are actually now going to just send it back over to Ben and Jordan with an update on our conditions thus far.
Okay, thanks guys. Yeah, power outages, probably going to see some of that. Definitely to the spots to the north, as we mentioned, with where the big storm stuff came through. And of course, we're not done here. We still have all of this to drag through, and what we're keeping an eye on is this that is just outside of Taylor County here, and that until 5:45. So that's the last severe thunderstorm warning that is closest to us outside of this. Now, don't let me neglect that. But I'm looking toward the south and west for trying to see what's coming. But this is the other, which is for Baldwin, Putnam into Hancock counties. And again, already starting to move in Lake Oconee, Lake Sinclair here. And then in Milledgeville in a little bit, some gusty winds with this as it comes through. Gray covered up in rain with some rumbles. Same thing through Monroe County. But notice how the way it's leaning like this. We're probably going to get some pretty good rainfall totals here. That training thing setting up again, where we're seeing just batches of rain, like I'm just pulling it with a rope through the same spots over and over again. And it's going to take a little bit of time. This is not moving as quickly as this is. This has the punch from the upper levels, just driving this thing across. This is a little more lazy coming in, which is okay. It's not severe right now. We want to keep it that way. So this is more just general rain and thunderstorms coming on across here from Roberta down to Butler and then through Forsyth, eventually into Macon in just a little bit. But as far as anything, again, spinning or rotating there, haven't seen any of that. Let's go up to this line here that has been the really big problem outside of the one that we had that came through earlier. That's the one that came through earlier that was driving us nuts for a little bit. But from Greensboro on down right through here, that's where the biggest shot of severe weather is. So what we've seen is this kind of morph from, and if you've been hanging with our coverage this afternoon, I was saying, I hope that some of what we saw today would help us out, and some of this may weaken down some as it's coming through. Well, the main punch is right here, and then there's another one down here, but in the middle where we've seen some of that rain and some of this, I don't know if that helped maybe, but some of this stuff is sort of kind of knocking down a little bit into just general thunderstorms. Now, as I mentioned all that, we still have to watch this for movement toward the east here, anything that is coming out of the Columbus area. As you drag it off toward the east, a little bit northeast, this would kind of go generally Butler to Fort Valley, and it may be gusty winds with some rumbles of thunder. But again, each time I go down there on the velocity map, looking down for anything rotating, not seeing any of that in that section, which is good. Now, when you go farther toward the south into southwest Georgia, through Cuthbert here, the remnants of a tornado warning coming out and a severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible here. This will go in north of Albany, a little bit north of Leesburg here. The reason I point that out, if it stays on this path and still has a little bit of a chip on its shoulder, this would be Crisp County as it comes in. So we could be talking maybe Blackshear, Cordele, somewhere like that as that comes across. But we'll see how that goes as we go through time. I think at least it's going to be windy. Will it still have a warning with it? We'll have to watch and see. So good news right now, again, that we're not seeing a whole lot in the way of warnings. We're getting this on through here the way you would want to see it from where it was earlier, which was just crazy back in Alabama. And again, all the severe thunderstorm warnings and the occasional tornado warning in there. This is good news. So I'm going to check around the chat just to see if anything new is coming in. Somebody's asking if the Jeffersonville radar is down. I haven't noticed that it is. I hope it's not. Let's see. That was a ham radio operator, so we'll see what the answer is to that. Okay, now what we're getting into in the chat room is a lot of folks coming in with damage reports for some of these counties to our north here. Some, numerous trees down, power lines, of course, as we mentioned, Griffin taking a big hit. Yeah, they have in Griffin road surface collapse. Highway 16 and MLK road impassable. And then we are still getting data from the Jeffersonville radar, so that's good. Let's see. All right, I'm getting word that, and again, this is not in our immediate viewing area, but it was very close, and a lot of people, have ties to Griffin, but a direct hit. Saying it's probably going to be a long night, getting reports of people trapped in homes in different spots all over Griffin. So apparently what we saw as that was coming through is as bad as what it looked like, which kind of touched down right then when it was coming over town, enough that right in that heavily populated area. So we'll keep an eye on that as we go through time. But that thing was coming through at 65 miles per hour, just the storm itself. And let's see, I'll walk you back. We could take a look at it. I don't have to go back far. This is going to be the velocity map, and right through there. So you can see as it was coming through Griffin, a no doubt tornado right there, and then bam, right through town. So a lot of damage reports coming in on that, and hearing stuff don't want to hear on that. So we're hoping for the best. So keep those folks in your prayers up there as they're digging through some of the damaged spots that are up that way. Again, back in our area is going to be Taylor County. If there is another warning issued on this, it would be a new severe thunderstorm warning for Taylor and Macon counties. And as it stands now, even though the wording from time to time is tornado possible, it looks like it's mainly straight line winds. But let's not take my word for it. Let us take a look at the actual information here. So this will take us into velocity mode, and it looks like it's mainly just that, straight line winds with that. So, all right, Jordan, we're going to toss over to you for a second.
Yeah, so I was looking at the severe thunderstorm warning and the what was a tornado warning just southwest of central Georgia that had the potential of moving over into Dooley and Crisp County. Now that's a different domain, so we're not looking at the Peachtree City and Atlanta National Weather Service office. So I moved to the Tallahassee Weather Service office, and they're saying that despite the broad rotation that we are seeing on the velocity, this is mostly just a damaging wind type event. So hopefully that stays that way, because this, although I know a lot of people aren't familiar with this area, but if this continues eastward, it will affect some of central Georgia into, Dooley, Crisp County, Wilcox, Pulaski, moving eastward. And like Ben was saying earlier, a lot of these storms that are off to our west, they've been tracking for a really long time, like the ones that we saw in Griffin earlier. That was tracking way back in Selma, Alabama, made its way all the way over here into central Georgia, similar to the tornado warning that we see now in South Carolina. So going back way westward is very important for us, especially for this severe thunderstorm warning rotation that we are seeing near Cuthbert, if I'm saying that correctly. We're watching that very closely, because if it does spin up into anything, it will make its way towards Dooley and Crisp County, including Cordele, Vienna, Abbeville, Unadilla. So we'll be tracking that and any other severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings that are far out to our west ahead of that squall line. But we are still under severe thunderstorm warnings, and they just put another one up for southern portions of Alabama, but that's not really our main focus right now, as that doesn't really have any effect for central Georgia at the very least.
Yeah, it's been one of those days, though, Jordan, that's for sure. Watching back toward the west, seeing what's next coming in, constantly looking back to Alabama and Columbus area and all these. And here's that big picture, which shows you a couple of things. First of all, the clear rotation right through there that was coming through Spalding County a little while ago. And it is now part of more of a Boeing segment that is straight line winds now. That storm that we had come through earlier that caused a stir from Crawford County through West, North Bibb, through Jones, Baldwin, Hancock, that is still a tornado warning heading on up into South Carolina. As we go back toward the west, we're seeing improvement, all right? So some rain, some thunder in some of this, but no warnings with this. So for the most part, we're looking at, for now, is somewhat of a weakening of the line in spots. I'm not trying to jinx us with that, but I'm not seeing anything that's rotating. But I am seeing, again, however, straight line winds in spots. That is what's going on through Putnam, through Baldwin. If you're in Milledgeville, some gusty winds, although most of it is a little bit to your north here. But if you're in Sparta, kind of the old 1-2 punch, you just had that storm that came through a little bit ago that was rotating. And now this will be coming through with some 60-mile-per-hour winds easily. And that's the movement of the storms. That's not just the wind coming out of the storms. The things are really flying. So again, this part is going much faster. This part down here also has a punch. The reason why it's severe, it's going fast. And then some lollygaggers kind of here in the middle that are just sort of floating up like this. And I will take lollygaggers all day, anywhere from Taylor County, Crawford, now getting into Bibb. This is just regular old rain. You're hearing some thunder out there, but there is nothing severe in any of this right now. And so far, we don't see any indication that there should be. But, as the same way with these tornado warnings, as things will spin up, you have to look back also for, do you see the winds picking up, straight line winds? Do you see anything starting to kick up out there? All right, so they're saying the Skycam looks interesting. Let's see, what do we have on the Skycam shot? And there it is, yeah. Seeing a lot of waves out there, some wild looking clouds. Again, as the rain continues to come across, you're seeing pretty much a shelf cloud coming through here, so making for some great photos. And no severe weather right now, but you're going to have some lightning and hear some thunder for a little bit, but not seeing anything rotating. When we looked at this Skycam shot a little bit earlier, we were looking toward the north when that first one was coming through. That was nasty looking stuff out there. So kind of one big shelfie out there coming across with what is pretty much the leading edge of this. And as we go toward the north, you can see it extends right along through here. And you're going to see these. You're going to see scud clouds hanging down. Don't get tricked by these. A lot of times people see these and say, it's a funnel cloud, it's a tornado. We're looking at the big picture with velocity. So far, we don't see anything like that happening. We would probably pick it up here on the radar for the most part before, scud clouds are tricky. You'll see those things and you'll say, oh man, that's what that is. And we get a lot of photos of those, but the vast majority of those are not what you think they are. They're just kind of trash clouds just hanging down. Scud, that's what they call them. So there's going back, and the reason why we keep looking at this one outside of Columbus is because that's what's moving into Taylor County next. So as that tracks across, if you kind of take that polygon, you're talking Fort Valley over to Warner Robins Perry, Montezuma, that section would be coming through. Now it looks like at least some gusty winds with that. That has about 9 minutes left on that one, which is not in our area yet. But it'll be interesting to see if that gets canceled and there's nothing issued behind it. Are we on a good trend? Are we heading in the right direction with this stuff? The one warning that we do have left is for now, is left Putnam County. Quick mover again, already through Lake Sinclair. The biggest shot looked like it kind of went north of Milledgeville, now heading more into Hancock County. So again, if you're in the Sparta area, some gusty winds with this stuff. Let's check velocity up that way just to see. There's a little bit of a flare up right there. Let's see if we can pick up anything. No, not seeing anything rotating with that. So this is straight line winds with what's going on there in Hancock County. Big picture time again. Let's see if we're close enough to start giving maybe some all clears. And again, when I say all clear, I'm thinking about the severe threat, the initial onset threat. And I would say Monroe County, you are clear. There's still going to be some rain rolling through and some rumbles of thunder. Can't do it for Taylor County just yet. Upson County's done. Crawford County's still in it, Bibb. So really, the only thing that you can really kind of take out is mainly the northern half of Monroe and then Upson County for the northern 2/3. As you go south of there, we're still kind of keeping an eye on that just to make sure nothing crazy flares up with that. Even as you look into Crawford right now, you're seeing some new development right here. So again, it's still something we have to watch. You can see new returns on the radar with new lightning strikes right there. Jordan, what you got?
So it looks like a lot of the northern Georgia's out of that tornado watch that we were under, especially like where you were just saying, anywhere north of Upson County, Lamar County, Monroe County, you're all in the clear. Atlanta is in the clear. Yeah, we could see some showers and light rain and storms still moving through, but in terms of that tornado threat, that's what's now clear and is now over central Georgia. This system is actually moving pretty quickly. The tornado watches that are in effect will end around 7 o'clock. Now for our south and eastern counties, you know, like Wheeler County, Montgomery County, those will probably pick back up, but at the same time, the instability is starting to drop as well. I'm going to show you the ingredients for the severe thunderstorm if I can find the slide here, but it also shows that a lot of that instability for these tornadoes decrease as we head over the next few hours. Here we are. So this is the future view model. You can see where all of the cape and energy out ahead of the storm. This is now 5 o'clock, and then you have the storms back off to the west. But as we move into 6, 7, 8 o'clock, look at that. You can see the cape and energy out ahead of the storm is now just about obsolete, and now you're just left with a lot of showers, rain, storms, not necessarily a tornado threat or even a hail threat at that, just a lot of rain overall. But that won't be until later on around 7, 8 o'clock. So for some of our south and eastern counties, that might be a good news for y'all, but we just have to get through all these storms first. But yes, overall, we are seeing this storm move really quickly over central Georgia, which is a good thing. So there you go.
Yeah, good point there. I like that graphic right there. That shows the whole thing. And we were already thinking that anyway. We were going to drop from a 2 to a 1 anyway with a weakening line. So hopefully we're just seeing the trend really get going now. And there's still going to be some wrinkles in the plan here. But that main shot, if you remember too, let's line it back up with the storm outlook for today. Remember, it was bumped into a 3. For Macon, north and westward Alabama, Birmingham, Montgomery to Atlanta. Well, the storms have already been coming through that area. Now they're getting more into that level too. It's not a 0, it's not even a 1, so it's dropping down. So we should see things weakening as it comes across anyway. So things are kind of going to plan, and hopefully that will continue. Again, the only warning, this is the high-res model. I might as well show you while I'm here. The high-res model shows that as we go forward, again, there's around 7 o'clock or so. It tries to show it really lining up. We'll see if that happens. On into 8 o'clock, 8:30 to 9 o'clock, it's clear of our southeastern counties. So let's go back up to the radar shot. And there's a new warning. So we talked about how the potential would be there coming into Taylor County if that thing is still kicking it enough that we would see a new severe thunderstorm warning, and we are now for Taylor County, Crawford, down into Macon County, so from Roberta on down outside of Montezuma. And what this is going to be straight line winds coming through. We'll watch for the potential for any spin. Let's see what the wording is from ye old National Weather Service, and it looks like chat has gone kaput here for a second. Let me see if I can get it to crank itself back up. Looks like it got kicked out for a second. All right, so the wording is severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible. Stop me if you've heard that one. 60-mile-per-hour winds, radar indicated for Crawford, Macon County, Taylor, and that goes until 6:15. Again, it is a radar indicated. Okay, I am going to take you back to some information here. Fayetteville, numerous trees down in Lakemont subdivision. This is in case when we're covering a lot of our stuff here, but we don't get new information all the time. So I know this is close to us. So if you have family and friends here, tree down on Pine Grove Road in Yatesville, blocking entire roadway. Multiple. This is going to be. I believe they're talking about maybe Griffin. Let's see, multiple entrapments. Major structure damage, Highway 16 and West Taylor Street at Vineyard Creek Apartments, first responders on scene. I believe this is still, yes, that is in Griffin. So that area of Griffin right there, they're having some major problems up there. And that's the only thing I can see recently. I'm seeing power outages in different places. And a lot of damage reports coming in now. Let's check our stuff here. It's a severe thunderstorm warning, but do we need to look for, I'm going to move this map to where it sits in one place now. Do we need to look for anything rotating? Yes, we do. We always do, and we don't see anything with that. So this is straight line winds coming into Taylor County. It's kind of spreading toward the east, northeast, kind of fanning out like this. So Crawford, again, this time mainly on the southern half of the county. It's the reason why I couldn't take some of these areas out as far as an all clear. Now, once this starts to move on across like this, and we're going to start clearing western Taylor County out, but we still got a long way to go to get all this through here. Let's check back in on our friends in Hancock County. Sparta is coming right at you on the door here with some straight line winds and some rain. I'm not seeing anything rotating, so that's good. So this is not tornadic stuff, but again, with all these, we watch for that. This is an area that just had rotation come through there earlier, and then actually, right when it passed Sparta, that storm we had earlier this afternoon, it really blew up again as a spinning storm as it left Hancock County. So this is that 1-2 punch here. By the way, if you want to do some all clears, Jasper, Putnam County clear. As we look at Hancock County, the western third is pretty much clear, but still got a little ways to go to get that on through. Monroe County is looking more and more done, but Crawford can't do it just yet. Crawford and Bibb, we still got a ways to go to get this through because you can see polygon stretches up this way. So even this right here, we got to keep an eye on that, which right now doesn't look to be doing anything crazy. But if you're in the Macon area, the heavy rain is about to start moving in here in the coming minutes. And again, you're going to hear some rumbles of thunder and all that jazz. But the good news is we're not seeing anything severe with that. Let's see on this map, again, as we look, just again to make sure. I didn't catch that before. Alex showing us here that the movement on this one, let me check that. This thing is flying. Let's see. Yeah, crazy. Okay, so this new severe thunderstorm warning that's out there in Taylor County, get this. We talked about the northern part up to our north was booking it. Not as much here, and then flying down here. This thing is moving east at 70 miles per hour. So that is just the storm movement itself. It is going through Butler as we speak. So some very strong wind coming through Butler right now. And if this continues, this will be shortly, very shortly, Fort Valley, Marshallville, and eventually Warner Robins to Perry. So cue up the Perry Skycam here in a minute, looking off toward the west. You still got enough daylight, we may be able to see something. But this thing is coming at I-75 as fast as you can drive on I-75. It is going 70 miles per hour, as fast as you should drive on I-75, not as fast as you can drive, I guess. So Butler showing the thunderstorm is really knocking on the door now with the heavy rain. As far as any gusty winds, yeah, even if the wind is not coming from the storm itself, the storm movement at 70 miles per hour is really cooking it out there coming through. Let's continue to check on velocity and all of these things, and you can see it right here very clearly with the bright blue right here. So we're talking about really strong wind coming in. The mentioning is there of tornado possible. Again, it's going to be that way with every severe thunderstorm warning that is issued tonight. That new thing that is beeping is, all right, is a new severe thunderstorm warning for Hancock County leaving away. So that is this one. What they just did is they dragged both of these from Hancock County and then upwards toward Greene County, and then made one big severe thunderstorm warning that's coming across as it leaves our area. All right, and what is that? All right, so we're just getting damage reports from all over the area. Again, if you're in Sparta right now, some very strong wind coming through. Let's go back down. This severe thunderstorm warning, again, we don't have anything. There's a little narrow window of nothing severe right in the Macon area right now. But if you go from Gray up, we've had this warning, and then Roberta down. We're seeing that, and this is where some of the strongest winds are coming through Taylor County. Now, it may not be rotating there, but you get 70-mile-per-hour winds there. We're going to get a few trees laid over in a couple of spots out there, and probably going to have a few power outages with that. So this is a particularly strong severe thunderstorm warning. Good news, it's not rotating. We don't see a tornado in it, but it is strong as far as the winds are concerned. Seeing new development blowing up here right on the Crawford-Bibb line. We'll see if this becomes anything. It looks like heavy rain really starting to build into the Macon area now. And we will look at velocity with all of this. And now we're hearing the thunder here at the station. So right on time, it starts to show up here.
It looks like they're extending that severe thunderstorm warning just southwest of Dooley County, closer towards, Dooley and Crisp County. So we'll be watching that storm very closely as well, I think, too.
Yep, that's what we kind of figured, wasn't it? That one was going to keep getting dragged out that way. So this is looking west from the Perry Skycam, looking off, and you can see some of the clouds there. Eventually it's going to get so dark we're not going to see anything, but maybe the occasional lightning strike. Might see, I don't have access to it right here, Jordan, the Macon Skycam may be showing us something here in a little bit. At the very least, it probably is going to show a lot of heavy rain. So again, this is just to show you that even though we were kind of looking at things just sort of lollygagging along, this is all new development right here, just springing out. West Bibb, South Bibb. So what's about to roll through Macon here, which is a good thing though. We go ahead and start getting this through. We're getting closer to the end of all this to get this through. So if you're in the Macon area, obviously some heavy rain coming down out there, some lightning, some rumbles of thunder, but nothing severe at the moment with any of that that's coming through. Monroe County, as I mentioned, you still have storms on the southern part of Monroe County. Don't see anything severe there right now, but pretty much from here up looks to be clear. And again, with the training out there, we're seeing rain in the same places over and over again. So really going to start to pile up the numbers. Now, if you remember, didn't we just do that? Where we started piling up a lot of numbers in this same corridor right through here. So we'll see how that goes. What is this beep? A Crisp Dooley, that's what you just mentioned, Jordan, isn't it? Crisp Dooley, Sumter, severe thunderstorm warning. Oh, wait a minute. No, that's this right here. Yes. Okay, so you had talked about it being extended, and then we had to watch to see what was going to happen. Because now what is happening is it has left the Tallahassee office into Peachtree City. Is the reason why we're seeing a kind of a mashing here of severe thunderstorm warnings. This new one belongs to Peachtree City. Everything cuts off right here underneath Sumter County. So now you're getting in the Peachtree City office. So there's kind of a handoff between National Weather Service offices right there. And so sometimes you'll see some overlapping polygons with that. So if you, earlier I mentioned this storm back north of Albany and Leesburg, if that continued on its track, would be something we would have to watch maybe for Dooley, Crisp on into Wilcox counties, and it looks like that's going to be the case. So at least some strong wind, severe thunderstorm type stuff. Now, the wording earlier with all of these has been, as you know, tornado possible. Let's see if we see anything down there that warrants that. May have to jump over to this radar. Let's see, it's really hung up in between radar shots right now. Can't get a good look at it, but there's the potential that could rotate at times. Let me see what this says. Continues for another area. Okay, all right, so we'll go back up to the big picture. Okay, so that severe thunderstorm warning for Hancock County, that was Putnam, Jones, Baldwin, and Hancock. that has already left for the most part that polygon. It belongs to this new one now. So in a matter of minutes, this will be clear of Sparta and Hancock County. As we roll back toward the south and west, what we're seeing is Macon really getting in on the rain and thunderstorm stuff right now, but I'm not seeing anything rotating, not seeing really any strong gusty winds with this. And then as we go down into Crawford and Taylor County, more so Taylor County is where we're seeing some of the stronger winds there. Let's go to, all right, there is the Macon Skycam, and that's about what I thought. Kind of boring. So we'll go back to the radar shot. So it's getting dark now, not going to see a whole lot. And one doorbell ding after another over here. Continues for there, continues. Okay, that's not us. All right, so
If you look just north of, I think this is Taylor County, looks like we're seeing something at least suspicious. There's no real strong wind speeds associated with this little area of what looks like rotation or vorticity, if you will, but something to at least keep our eye out on. There isn't a severe thunderstorm warning associated with it, but just the direction of the wind speed is something I think we should at least pay attention to, Ben.
all right, thank you there, Jordan. Okay. All right, so that makes me want to go look around for velocity stuff for wind here. And again, seeing some kicking wind right here through Butler, through Taylor County, on into eventually from Butler to Reynolds, on into southern Crawford County, and then northern Macon County, Peach County eventually. So some strong winds still to come, and chat room is going nuts. Let's see, cancel severe thunderstorm warning for Baldwin, Jones, and Putnam. Okay, we knew that was coming. Okay, and then the one for Hancock. Okay, so that's been trimmed back. Okay, so this is a mess right here, but these are just leftover pieces of different severe thunderstorm warnings here. But Hancock County and leaving, that's the top edge of that. As we stretch on down, Baldwin, no severe thunderstorm warning. Same thing for Jones, Bibb, Monroe. Crawford has a piece of this severe thunderstorm warning that goes down into Taylor. And then there's still all of this untouched area. So if you're in the southern, southeastern half of our area, still have rain and thunderstorms to come through. It doesn't mean that they're all going to be severe, but clearly every one of them is going to have the potential for a little something something on them. So as far as the Macon area is concerned right now, we can hear the rain now hitting our roof here at the building in East Macon. So as the rain continues here, it does so back toward the west and even northwest. So even though southern Monroe County, for the most part, the severe stuff is gone, but the rain continues to come down here. And I think we're going to see an easy couple of inches of rain in some of these spots because of the orientation, because of the way this is leaning toward that north and east. Well, as a matter of fact, we could do a check on that right now. We could do some radar estimates, see how the rainfall totals are looking there. And this might show us here. Let's see if this wants to jump in. Yep. So what we're already seeing in the green is an inch, inch and a half, heading toward 2 inches of rain. And so it's because of these training areas, and this you can kind of drop it down as we go through time. It's just the rain keeps coming over these same spots. So far, not enough for any flash flood warnings or anything like that, but just another thing to watch. Again, Taylor County with the winds, again, the storm speed, last checked, was moving east at around 70 miles per hour. So if you're in southern Crawford and leaving Taylor County, eventually heading into Peach County here, the winds are probably going to start to pick up a pretty good bit as we go through the next 10, 15 minutes. Yes? Okay. All right, just a programming note there about when we're going to take a break in a few minutes. That way I'll know. And, okay, gotcha. And then let's see, there is a ton of rain just north of Butler right now. So this is a heavy part of the storm. So Taylor County heading into Crawford County in a little bit and staying just enough inside that polygon right here. So some strong stuff there. Let's make sure now while we're standing right here, let's check different velocity modes. Well, there, that shows us, let's see, there it is right there. All right, so it's mainly just showing wind, straight line wind with that. Again, still not seeing anything rotating, even though the wording within these, you can see on the bottom of that box, is always going to say with these storms today, tornado possible. Looking in the middle of our area, again, nothing rotating from Monroe, Bibb, Jones, no tornadic looking stuff there at all, and really not any huge straight line winds. I think there still could be some gusty winds, especially as some of this rolls on through. We may see the wind pick up a little bit. But again, that big shot earlier that came through, again, just not good news coming out of Griffin. That tornado warning, we're not seeing the tornado warning anymore. Now it's lined up into just a sure squall line here with straight line winds. Severe thunderstorm warning, a big one that goes, I mean, this whole thing, so that whole section is a severe thunderstorm warning as it leaves our area. It's just now trying to leave Hancock County. So this is leaving Sparta now. So again, the 1-2 punch in Hancock County after that first storm that came through and was rotating, and now this one comes through, adding insult to injury there on top of that. Let's go back down again as things are quickly changing with rain piling in more and more, some thunderstorms into the Macon-Bibb area right now. All over town we're seeing heavy pockets of rain and some rumbles of thunder, but nothing severe with any of this. So if you have some little ones, especially, we did the whole who's getting dismissed early, so it's really top of mind now. Anything that comes down, is this bad, is this ugly, is this all? None of this is right now. All of this stuff, if it stays like it is, it's just regular old rain and rumbles, just thunderstorm stuff out there for now, and we hope it continues to stay that way, and I don't see anything that's changing it to spin at this moment, but obviously we'll continue to watch it. A different story from Taylor into southern Crawford, all right, with that severe thunderstorm warning. We're going to take a couple minute break, and then we're going to come back right at the top at 6 o'clock, and we'll continue with coverage of severe weather this afternoon and evening. Hey guys, thanks for the countdown clock. Can we put the real clock back up? Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on a day in which the weather has obviously been the big story. I'm Frank Malloy.
And I'm Lori Johnson. We've seen some severe thunderstorms across our area this afternoon and into the early evening hours. So let's start off with Ben Jones with a recap of the weather situation right now. Ben.
Yeah, guys, I tell you, it's been quite an afternoon of, well, some storms that were a little bit out of hand, but also just kind of like, what's next? What's going to be the next thing to come down out of all this? Well, we started off with that severe thunderstorm warning that was a tornado possible earlier that came through Crawford County Taylor County, then Crawford, and then went through Bibb County, North and West Bibb, through Jones, Baldwin, and Hancock, and at times was spinning. And sending a lot of pictures and videos of this ominous looking stuff out there, but it was the supercell itself that was spinning. I don't know if there's that much of an actual touchdown anywhere, but we'll keep an eye on that as we look tomorrow. Obviously the sun comes out, people have a better idea. And then it was waiting on this main line to come on in. And then as that's been coming in, it's with the lean toward the northeast at the top, and then it's going toward the southwest at the bottom. So our southern county is going to take longer to clear through. But it was right through here, Spalding County, the cell that came through Selma, Alabama earlier today and was kicking it through there, creating damage in a lot of spots. And then off and on through Alabama and then crossing over the state line. And then unfortunately, right when it got to Griffin, it touched down. And we're getting numerous damage reports, and even some of folks trapped in houses in spots. Extensive damage to the Hobby Lobby and Walmart, just some of the early things we've seen, and clearly there's probably more than that, but that's just some of the pictures and video and reports we've had so far. Now what we're dealing with is kind of bookended with severe thunderstorm warnings. We have Hancock County leaving Sparta, so there's one severe thunderstorm warning, and every one of them that we've seen today and will see as we go through tonight because of the nature of this system is going to say severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible, just in case there is a rotation, even brief, although some of these have been a little bit longer than brief out there. You got to have that wording in there just in case. In the middle of all this has mainly just been garden variety thunderstorms, and we want to keep them that way. But then from Crawford down into Taylor County, a severe thunderstorm warning with the movement of that storm at 70 miles per hour toward the east. All right, so this is just a strong thunderstorm mentioning for Bibb, Crawford, Houston, Jones, Peach, and Twiggs. I'm trying to remember what they used to call them. It wasn't severe thunderstorm warning. It was the special weather statement kind of thing or whatever. So in other words, it's not strong enough to be severe, but they're just letting you know that this is still a strong complex that's coming through right here. All right, so that just came out. Let's get into the velocity map, and again, this is going to show us where the winds are strongest and which direction they are blowing. And what we're seeing here is straight line winds coming out of Taylor County and Crawford County moving toward Peach here. We don't see anything rotating. And as we roll the map on up into Bibb County, same thing. We're just seeing regular old thunderstorms for the most part, and hopefully it's going to continue to stay that way as we back things up. You can see as the leading edge of that wind has made its way through the Macon area, spreading down toward the south and east here. As we take the map on up, Jones, Baldwin counties, again, not seeing anything there and looking okay. Hancock County, as that storm is leaving now. So, again, we've seen cloud pictures, cloud videos, crazy looking dark clouds out there and skies like that. And we're probably going to continue to see at least occasionally some strong to severe storms. I didn't mean to leave out Dooley and Crisp County. We've just been doing a big tour here. Is what we're seeing coming across through Lake Blackshear. This is a severe thunderstorm tornado possible, again, meaning that it doesn't mean there's a tornado there, but you can clearly see for yourself that this cell on the southern extent of this line is itself kind of broadly rotating. So this will be coming across Dooley and the Crisp County in just a little bit, about to come across Lake Blackshear any minute now. Matter of fact, let's see if we can find, trying to find the movement on that one. All right, severe thunderstorm warning. That one is moving. All right, the 60 mile per hour winds. It is, let's see if we can get the movement there. All right, it's moving east at 45. All right, so if you're in Dooley and Crisp counties, we're going to keep an eye on that thing there. Again, as far as anything rotating, not seeing anything that's screaming it, although you do see some broad rotation as you watch where the, in this case, the blue and the green kind of showing a little bit of a swirling going on within that cell. Okay, so that's what we have for right now, guys. I'm going to put it on the big picture there so we can see all of the warnings. And the one in Hancock County, again, starting to leave, that's gone. The one that is in Taylor, Crawford County, heading into Peach, this is still something to watch as the winds are gusty there. And then also as we get into Dooley and Crisp County. So I think we're going to go over to you for just a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks a lot, Ben. Just let us know if you need to dip back in. We're going to take a look at the photos and videos you've been sending us this afternoon.
Sherry Hearn sent us video of a car overturned. This is in the Hobby Lobby parking lot. That's up in Griffin that Ben's been talking about where all that damage is. That is at the Hobby Lobby in Griffin. You can see just how powerful that storm was right there.
And then we have this video from Bill Ellis on Hopewell Road in Roberta. Those clouds look pretty dark out there, and Bill posted this in the Weather Network group and said it was traveling along the path Ben described, but he didn't see much rotation. Tiffany Bowen sent us this photo in Roberta off Highway 42, looking out toward Hopewell, same area there, around 2:30 this afternoon, as the sirens were going off.
We have video from Kim Reed in southeast Monroe County, around 2 miles from the Bibb County line, just north of Arkwright Road. Kim says she watched the clouds spinning above her. They heard a continuous thunder rumble and then it passed over. She said her yard was flooded, but fortunately, no damage.
Leanne Shell took this video off of Zebulon Road. You can see that right there as the sirens were going off. Not a lot of rain, but you do see the dark, ominous clouds.
Thomas sent us these photos, very dark clouds. This is around the Lake Tobosoffke area again. That was earlier this afternoon as the storm rolled this way towards central Georgia.
And then we have this, wow, look at this picture from the parking deck at Atrium Health Navicent. Brian Brooks sent in this picture to the Weather Network Facebook page, and you see it's almost like the spires of the church are touching those clouds.
Right.
So yeah, very ominous.
Ron Linville sent us video from Johnson Road. This is in between Macon and Lizella. You can hear the wind right there and the clouds moving very quickly. And that's one thing that Ben and Jordan have been talking about, how fast this storm is rolling through the area. Doris Noob snapped this shot. This is in Baldwin County.
Michael Newberry sent in pictures from Milledgeville as the storm passed by. Almost kind of looks like a shelfie there, and maybe some of those scud clouds that Ben was talking about a little earlier today.
We have video taken on the West Campus of Georgia College and State University. Tina Eversole sent us this photo in.
If you don't already have it, download the 13WMAZ mobile app. You can get it in the Google Play or Apple Store, or you can quickly scan the QR code on your screen. Once you get the app, be sure to sign up for notifications. You'll get the latest weather and news alerts sent right to your phone.
I can still hear heavy rain pounding on the roof here at the station here at 13 WMAZ, Ben, and imagine we're going to see some heavy rain for a good while now still.
Yeah, and there are parts of the line that are weakening, which is kind of this area through here, although still listed by the National Weather Service as a strong thunderstorm. So in other words, don't let your guard down in any of this as it makes its way toward the east. But we're not seeing it pack the punch it once was back in Alabama. Now, having said that, there are parts of it that still you're getting a little bit chippy, and that's right through from Taylor County into Macon County through Crawford heading into Peach. So maybe some gusty winds there. And then as we roll farther toward the south, going into Dooley and Crisp counties, this would be the one that probably has the biggest punch, if we were going to say it, as far as anything that could maybe rotate at times would be this one pulling through Sumter County, heading into Dooley and Crisp counties. Again, this is heading pretty much east-northeast at around 45. This one, at least earlier, had movement toward the east at 70 miles per hour. So we've seen a variation in some of the speeds of these storms today. All right, let's see if we can find an all clear for some folks. That'd be fantastic, huh? So this would be the big picture here. And I probably can easier do it from this one. All right, so let's go from now, and we'll loosely draw it on there. That it's not a whole lot, is it? That some of these places look to be in the all clear. If you're anywhere above this, there's still going to be some rumbles of thunder, maybe some lightning out there, but everything that's still this way still has the potential for at least some strong stuff, if not severe weather. But each passing batch of 5 minutes that goes by will continue to clear more people out because of the kind of swift movement of this. Once we get on into the later hours, I still think this could go to maybe 8 o'clock, 8 something to 9 in our southeastern counties here before we get it all through. But the idea and the hope is before we get that far, that this stuff will have died down a good bit, I hope. Before we drag through another couple of hours of all of this. Let's see. All right, that's DeKalb County there. Cancel severe thunderstorm warning for Hancock. Strong thunderstorm. Okay. All right. So at least there's some good news that some folks are starting to get through with this. As we look at the Macon area again, rainfall on top of rainfall with some rumbles of thunder, but I'm not seeing anything severe out there. I don't see anything rotating either. Same thing with any of this, really. Crawford, Peach, the same thing. Let's check, make sure here. All right, so this is going to be, you can see a punch of wind right there as we get into Peach County. Maybe some gusty stuff here for a little bit. Again, I don't see anything terribly crazy or anything rotating there. Taylor County, the same thing. So mainly straight line stuff. And that warning goes until 6:15. And then let's see, the stuff up north is done for us. And that was the biggest punch. At least that part's out. This down here goes until 6:30 for the Dooley and Crisp County stuff. Okay. If you go backwards in time, you can see this thing, at least the cell, trying to kind of, as a supercell, sort of rotating, similar to kind of what we saw earlier today. But nothing that is dropping down saying this is a tornado on the ground. But again, they're going to have to put those tornado possible words in those descriptive boxes right there just to be safe. Let's look back. Northwest Georgia earlier had closer to the actual low and all your strength up here where we're seeing a ton of wind shear up here. They had a tornado warning earlier, but this is the first time in a while that we've been able to look back and see no tornado warnings on the map. It's all kind of stretched out now into the squall line that we were hoping it would become, which is more of severe thunderstorm warnings, which you don't want those either. But you'll definitely take them any day of the week over some of the tornadic stuff I've seen today from Alabama into Georgia. So just left with severe thunderstorm warnings for right now. And again, each one is going to have tornado possible. I did get this note a little bit earlier. I meant to mention marble-sized hail reported at a little before 6 for Mayor Alan Haywood in Sparta. We appreciate that. So yeah, there's some hail in some of this as well and some gusty winds. But again, that tornado threat was mainly into our north and west. It was mainly for, as we said, Spalding County, Griffin, really just took a punch through there earlier with this thing. Finally, they're starting to see some clearing coming through there so they can get into some of these places where they've had damage and possible folks trapped in some areas, maybe in houses that we've heard. So we're following that. If you're in Peach County into southern Bibb, northern Houston County, you can see some red here, probably some gusty winds with some of this coming across, which is already left the warning area for this one. This one goes to, was that the one till 6:15? I believe it was. Let's ask it and see. Well, no, that's the time. I don't need the time. I know what time it is, till 6:15. All right, so in a little over a minute, this one will drop off the map, and we'll see if anything replaces that. If it does not, the only thing we will have left for now is going to be Dooley and Crisp counties. It's from Vienna to Cordele with a severe thunderstorm warning down that way. So we'll find out here in a second. And again, if you're in from Byron on over, South Bibb, Warner Robins area, Warner Robins has been waiting to get in on the act. This is all starting to come in here in just minutes. Really hear the rain pouring down here on the station. So again, a lot of heavy rain with this part right through here. So from Crawford through Peach into Bibb and now starting to barely get into Houston County. Just a ton of rain, so I think we're going to really pile up some numbers here in a hurry because you can follow and see as everything's moving toward the east. The individual spots and cells here are kind of riding toward the northeast over and over again, like boxcars on a train again, so training is how we would describe that. Let's see here. All right, let's just check on this one down here again just to make sure. I'm going to look at this source instead here. All right, so this is going to be coming into Crisp County, and as we go backwards and forward, we're seeing a general broad rotation right through here of the whole thing, but mainly straight line winds coming in. But the whole cell itself, which is not unusual, is kind of spinning there. Okay, so there's the map. That warning dropped off. So the only thing we have left now is Dooley and Crisp County as far as a warning for now, and hopefully we will keep it this way. Again, as we watch what's coming out of South Bibb, into Peach County, now into Houston County. Of course, it's going to get a little bit of a sharper edge look on it anyway, because it's getting in closer to the radar shot. So you're going to get very well-defined edges on this. And there's a new severe thunderstorm warning, just as I was pointing at it. So that well-defined edge, it clearly is straight line winds. So a new one, folks. This is going to be Bibb, Peach, Houston, Twiggs, Wilkinson, and this one will go until 7. So another 45 minutes on this one. Again, the wording tornado possible, because you have to put that in there with this kind of environment today. And there's the official alert right there. But as far as seeing anything in there rotating, let's check again. There's base velocity. We will go storm relative. This will take us from this. We'll move this up here. And I don't see anything doing that. So, but you can see the winds coming along. So some straight line wind stuff right here that has already made its way through Byron, or coming through Byron, anywhere from there into South Bibb. Already through, it looks like the Hartley Bridge Road, 75, 475 split all through that area. So now it's mainly Warner Robins and then spreading over eventually here toward Twiggs County. So that, after we had pared it down to one warning, and we were saying, well, we hope it keep that way. And then I thought, man, this looks a little bit sharp through here. And as soon as we zoomed in on it, the National Weather Service must have been doing the same thing. So again, we'll continue to watch this area to see if there's anything that would rotate there. Otherwise, it's just going to be gusty winds with heavy rain coming across with this and occasional rumbles of thunder. All right, let's see. We may be able to do a new all clear area if we can here. And let's see. Oh, by the way, to the lady that emailed earlier this week, I think it was last week, the clicks were bothering her. Hearing this sound on it, you have no idea how bad it bothers me. It's terrible. And she said, get some bifocals, it's very irritating. Yeah, I've tried that too, that doesn't work. So, all right, so we're gonna have to deal with the clicks. Sorry about that. All right, so here is a look at where we could draw. And did I even make an improvement from earlier? I don't know. For the most part, it's like that. So it's just slow clearing because of the orientation. Now, we had some quick movement with some sections of this being one, this being another down here. But because of the way this is oriented, and there's really not a lot of punch right through the middle, except for right here, we're seeing some of this just kind of take its time, coming over the same spots over and over. All right, so we'll go back into, if you're in Warner Robins right now. So getting into a highly populated area, again, coming across through the base here in a little bit, moving through Centerville, seeing a fair amount of lightning with this. And again, some pretty huge rainfall rates coming down, a lot of heavy rain with this. And it's mainly going to be kind of Warner Robins northward in this severe thunderstorm warned area. So if you're going to be, well, too late for that. If you're going to be running up and down 75 from the split down, probably wouldn't be a good idea, but now you're probably stuck. Slowly going through that. But if you were about to go on I-16 heading through from Macon to Twiggs County, Macon to Dublin, back and forth, may want to hold off on that. Doesn't mean there's a tornado out there, but it may be a little bit slow going as we go through time there. So that warning stretches off toward a little bit east and northeast. And let's see the movement on that one. That one is moving east at 60. All right, so we've seen a little difference in some of the speeds of the movement here. So let's do this. We'll do a track to the east, northeast at 60 miles per hour. We're going to treat it as kind of a squall like this, and then drag this out. About to run out of real estate here. All right, so you can see some of the places in the path of that. Again, I'm not looking at rotation. This is a severe thunderstorm warning, but the wording is tornado possible with that. So we have to watch to see if anything spins in there. That's just because of the kind of environment we're in today. It doesn't mean there's a tornado in it. It just means let's watch and make sure nothing's spinning. And well, that's what we're doing. We continue to watch that. We're continuing to watch down here, Lake Blackshear, heading into Crisp County. Same thing, just seeing broad rotation with the whole cell, but not seeing anything that looks like tornado stuff. Let's go in on this. You can see the wind clearly kicking it here, moving into extreme northern Houston County here. So you may hear, I know from time to time, sometimes Robins Air Force Base will fire the sirens off because they can on their own if they deem that it's something that they deem is enough of a threat. It doesn't have to be a tornado warning for that. So if you're hearing some sirens, and I don't know because I'm not standing there in this part of Houston County, it's because of that. We technically do not have a tornado warning out there, but a severe thunderstorm warning that could at times be a little bit nasty. Jordan.
Yeah, so we're taking a live look now over downtown Macon. If you want to go full screen right now, the major storms are kind of moving right over downtown Macon, and every now and then we have been seeing some hit or miss lightning. Not anything too consecutive, but definitely something to keep an eye out on if you are outside or just getting off of work or headed downtown for something to eat despite the rain. There we go. It is a lot of lightning out there, a lot of thunder. If you hear thunder roar, go indoors. I understand like the main threat that we are kind of watching out for are those strong winds, the tornado, that potential for hail, but don't let the lightning, get over you. The lightning is still a dangerous threat. I know the odds of you getting struck by it or something around you getting struck by it is very low. That does not mean it's not possible. So just make sure you stay indoors until these storms really do roll over, and get home as soon as you can, but safely as you can if you are out and about.
All right, Jordan, thanks. Yeah, I thought I saw something flashing over there in the background. A little earlier, it was your monitor over there, and I was like, what is that? It's the lightning popping over that way. So yeah, a good bit of lightning. For the most part, though, of Bibb County into Crawford, I could do it on a miniature scale. Let's see if we can do this. Because, what is that? Doorbell sound, severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible with Crisp, Dooley, Pulaski, Wilcox. Well, let me go down there. Okay, this is a new one. And this was expected, that they would drag this one out. Now coming across through Dooley, Crisp, Pulaski, and Wilcox. All right, so now this one, shocker, tornado possible for this area as well. Anytime you see these yellow polygons, if you're used to seeing those and saying, it's not a tornado warning, that's a severe thunderstorm warning. Technically, you're right. But on a day like today, with the kind of environment we have where these things can spin up quickly, every one of these is going to have what we call that tagline. It's going to say there at the end, tornado possible. So that new one is out, and the wording there is as follows. It is 8 miles west of Cordele, moving east at 50. So seeing some different speeds with some of these. So if that's east at 50, let's take it for the whole chunk here. And actually we'll probably take this core area right here. All right, so let's go east at 50. And you can see some of the spots that are in the path of that. So, going to kind of thread up the needle between, I think, Rochelle and Hawkinsville. And then eventually, if this holds, start heading toward Eastman. Again, if you're in Eastman, you're like, man, we haven't seen much of anything all day. Maybe some light rain earlier, but this is finally the stuff kind of heading your way. It is mainly severe thunderstorm type stuff, meaning strong, gusty, straight line winds, but there could be at times a time where things will rotate a little bit. What do I see down there now? Not seeing rotation of tornadic stuff. I do see, again, at times, as you can see clearly as I go forward around Leslie there. Notice how things want to kind of spin broadly. Jordan, yes?
Yeah, so I was actually looking at the winds and wind gusts, and we're seeing wind gusts up to 49 miles per hour up there in Macon. Remember, that's past, for example, tropical storm force winds. But remember, these are wind gusts that we are measuring. Meanwhile, Eatonton at 21 mile per hour wind gusts, 13 in Milledgeville, 25 over there in Butler. And we have these wind veins at different spots across the map, but in spots that we don't have these, it could be potentially even stronger. So that's another parameter you could also look at. We are still under a wind advisory, and that should expire around 11 p.m. I can imagine it'll start chopping off different counties as we head into the evening hours. They're probably still focusing on a lot of other stuff, and by they I mean the National Weather Service, before they actually start worrying about canceling any wind advisories, as well as the tornado watch that we are also still in. Both of these are in effect until 11 p.m., some spots 7 p.m. according to the Tornado Watch map. But I can imagine that our south and eastern counties, Telfair, Wheeler, Trutland counties, for example, earlier in the day it was kind of suspected or forecasted for the entire central Georgia area to be in that tornado watch. But as once again, as I mentioned earlier, as that system moves eastward, the instability isn't there, the energy isn't there. I'm gonna pull up that graphic once again. The closer that cold front makes its way towards central Georgia and makes its way through, you can see here, if I can find the graphic, that instability just isn't there. The graphic went missing, but you saw it earlier. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let's see. We were looking at the thunderstorm energy, and out ahead of the cold front, the energy was decreasing significantly. Can't find the graphic, but you get the point. As the cold front makes its way, I can show you the future view at the very least. As the cold front makes its way in, which it should make its way through the central part of central Georgia around 8 o'clock, you kind of see we're still seeing some severe storms down there in Wilcox, Pulaski County, Crisp and Dooley County, but as we head into 9 p.m., that's when I think the tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings should start to drop in terms of, especially as we head into Wheeler County, Treutlen County, Montgomery County, for example. And you can notice back off to the west, we are already starting to clear out, and this is as early as 9 p.m. So you won't probably hear all that lightning and thunder that you're probably hearing now across central Georgia, just because we're going to clear out so quickly. Got cloud cover back to the west, but as we head into, once again, 9 o'clock, looks like Upson, Monroe, Jasper County, Taylor, Macon County, all just dry. And that's going to continue mostly into the overnight hours. Now, I know we're focusing on the severe weather event today, but as we head into tomorrow, light rain chances are still possible. And one thing we haven't shown in a while, I know you guys like to see this if you are, as the show starts to end, I want to show at least a 7-day forecast. Highs will continue to be, or at least today was around 74 degrees. As we head towards the evening hours, obviously we had that rain come through, so temperatures dropping slowly but surely. Now starting tomorrow, highs will continue to be in the 50s, which is a little bit below average or around average finally compared to what we saw today. Starting out rather cool early in the morning, and then moving into Wednesday and Thursday will slowly start to warm up. But we just have to really get through this severe weather day before we can start seeing that sunshine again and moving back to cooler temperatures. I think, Ben, you were mentioning earlier that once this cold front moves through, we're going to see those cooler temperatures as well as strong wind speeds moving into tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, and not only that, yeah, the wind chill because of that. So we're looking at maybe 40s for the high tomorrow with a wind chill somewhere in the upper 30s. That is a new warning that just came out, which is a little bit puzzling, for Crisp and Wilcox until 7. They must have cut some of that off. This also, just in the storm report here just a minute ago. Now get this, try to wrap your mind around this. Meriwether County, a 1,600-foot radio tower for 93.3, the Joy FM, collapsed. That is a massive radio tower just before 4 p.m. today, located in Meriwether County near St. Mark's off Forest Road. Those of us, and definitely the engineers in this building, know that is quite something, a 1,600-foot radio tower. And of course, I know about 93.3, the Joy FM. That's a big station there. So that tower collapsing this afternoon. Oh, some crazy stuff coming down today. All right, so here is a look at the map. I want to show you something on this. Let's say this helps me again earlier. If I take off the lightning and take off the warnings and we just stand back and kind of breathe it in here, and you can see a few different things. You can see this up here was a really sharp part, and that's where we've seen a bunch of severe weather. That's made its way off toward the east. A little bit of a lull through here, and then you've got that severe thunderstorm warning right through here. You can see that well-defined edge, so there's a punch there. And then it jumps down again, or you're starting to see things. This was that warning a little bit earlier, and down into Dooley and Crisp counties. But if you just stand there and watch it, you can start to see some clearing, not clearing as far as rain, but some of the intensity is starting to move on through here. So more and more of Crawford County, Taylor County, Monroe is done. Putnam County is done. A good chunk of Jones County and most of Bibb County is done. The north and western part, it's just rain now that's left over. But still a lot out ahead of all of that. And as we look at Dooley and Crisp again, severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible in that area. And if you watch that cell, you can see the whole thing rotating right there. And that's what that one was doing earlier that came through our area, and then the one that came through Griffin. So whether or not a tornado drops down out of that, you can see that the whole cell all the way across is going to be rotating as kind of its own thing. All right, so let's throw the warnings and lightning back on. And there we go. So we have, let's ask some questions here. Which one is doing what? This one is until 7 o'clock. Again, this is for Bibb, Houston. It's really more Twiggs and Wilkinson now. It's already left some of these other areas. And then this one here, 6:45. And then there's this one weird piece of one here till 7. So basically, let's just say Crisp and Wilcox go until 7 o'clock tonight. And let's do a velocity check again in these areas. So seeing some strong winds coming through Cordele right now, just leaving Lake Blackshear. Heading across 75. So again, that's going to be a spot where the wind will be really picking up here in just minutes, as I think this one was moving at around 50 miles per hour toward the east. As we go farther up toward the north, the other severe thunderstorm warning, which again is mainly for Twiggs and Wilkinson now. I don't see anything crazy in there. So that technically goes until 7 as well. And then again, our northern counties, where it was really kicking earlier, has all calmed down now. That's quieted down.